Oh, man. Take turns.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening. Just before we get started with roll call, I would just like to remind you that we do have a stenographer here tonight, as well as our recordings for the council. So I'd just like to remind everybody before you speak, please just state your full name for the record so that we have everything on record as we go through. So if we could have the roll call, please. Unless you can do it.
I was wondering what Karen was saying.
You're the secretary.
Great. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, Dutchess County. Chrissy.
Amy.
Dave Violante. Joan Siebert.
Joan Siebert, Duchess.
Anthony. Robert Ridley. Steve Beeman. William Marshall. Robert
Matrograno.
Here. Thank you. Orange County. Michael Bigg.
Here.
Richard Willie.
Here.
Wayne Chan.
Here.
David Grass.
Present.
Israel Napa.
Here.
Frank Casanati. Alexandria Wilshire. Nancy Pfeiffer.
Here.
Putnam County. Robert Cuomo.
Here.
David Jacobson.
Here.
Michael Mikulski.
Here.
Martin Miller.
Here.
Nicholas Falcone. Stephen Wygand. Rockland County. Bernice Garati.
Here.
Nick Rusicki.
Here.
I'm slaughtering your names. Tim Egan.
Here.
Desiree.
Here.
Glenn Albin.
Yes, present.
Allison Spong.
Here.
Ephraim Tauber.
Here.
BJ Leitner.
Here.
Sullivan County. Albie Bachman.
Here.
Alex Rao. Neil Medoff.
Here.
Norman Prentice. Susan Sherwood.
Here.
Peter Goodman. Ulster County. Rich Parrish. Kelly Nelson. Karen Pardini here. Stephen Sawyer. Jeffrey Ashdown. Jessica Foster. Remsco staff. Bill Hughes.
Here.
Mark Papish. Karen Deloney. Thank you.
Tammy Reinhardt.
Huh?
Tammy's on the back. She should be on the third page.
Got him here.
Oh, thank you, Tammy. Okay.
Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do have a quorum.
24.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, very good. What I'd like to do, if nobody has any objections, we're going to alter the agenda. I'm going to have the Transportation Committee present their report and allow for a vote so that we can dismiss the stenographer for the evening, please. So,
I'm over here to your left.
Glenn Allen, please. I was going to say, you're always right there.
Okay, again, the Transportation Committee met, and we submitted, we're going to be approving this, and I'll read it in a second. We do have a letter of fitness and competency that was verified by the state. We had to be very careful with the fitness and competency because it involved public figures, so it was done through being sent to their office directly, and they did approve the fitness and competency of, I'll tell you who they are, Margaret M. Crotty, Michael J. Dowling, Mark S. Salazzo, Michelle L. Cusack, and Ralph A. Nappi. So the motion is, it's a seconded motion from the Transportation Committee to approve the application of transfer authority law under law, section 3010 of the Public Health Law, from Nuvance Health and all of Nuvance's Health subsidiaries and subsidiaries, including Alamo Ambulance Services, Inc., a New York State ambulance operating certificate holder, to Northwell Health Systems, Inc. So it's a seconded motion.
Okay, very good. I'd like to read into the record, just make sure that there's no conflicts of interest. As per the Hudson Valley Regional EMS Council bylaws, article number 8, conflict of interest, the following is read into the record. No officer or member of the council may vote on any matter in which he or she has a pecuniary interest. When an officer or member of the council is uncertain as to whether a conflict of interest exists, he or she will disclose the matter to the full council, which shall decide whether a conflict of interest exists. Is there anyone on the voting board now that wants to declare a conflict of interest? Is there anybody on the voting board that wants to raise a potential conflict of interest? Okay, hearing none. Can you just help Karen out? Who's eligible to vote tonight? Because I know we have some alternates here.
So Dutchess County is Joan and Robert. Orange County is Michael, Rich, Wayne, you, and Israel. Putnam County is Bob, David Jacobson, Mike Mikulski, and Martin Miller. Rockland County is Bernice, Nick, Tim, Desiree, Glenn, and that's it. Sullivan County is Albie, Neil, and Susan Sherwood. Ulster County, Karen Pardini, and that's it.
Okay. So before we open it up, is there any questions from the floor regarding the transfer of authority? And again, this is just a fitness and competency on the transfer of ownership. Robert Cuomo.
Okay, well, you said my name, so anyway.
Say my name.
Question that I have is, did we ever get a determination on, or is there anybody in the room that could possibly shed light on this? Is this transfer, since the merger with, you know, from Nuvance to Northwell is not complete yet, is this transfer contingent upon the completion of that merger, or is it or are they doing it regardless?
To the best of our knowledge, it's if the,
Okay.
You want me to talk about it, Bill?
Yes. If you could just identify yourself, Karen, that would be
Sure.
great.
I'm Karen Petty, I'm an attorney for Northwell Health.
Thank you.
And it is contingent, we have to gather all of the approvals from all of the New York and Connecticut. Once they're all in a package, then we'll close, and then the transfer will occur. I did want to clarify one thing on your motion. The entity that's acquiring Nuvance is Northwell HS, Inc., which is a subsidiary, and I think you said Northwell Health.
I said Northwell HS.
Oh, did you say that?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I didn't hear it correctly.
Northwell Northwell HS Inc., is that
Yeah,
the
that's
legal
it. I'm sorry.
entity? Okay.
If anyone has
I was gonna say, are there any other questions from either the council or someone from the floor they would like to inquire?
Well, then I would have a simple question, Karen. What, in the hypothetical
Tim.
situation?
I
Oh,
just
sorry,
need full
Tim
name,
Egan.
please.
In the hypothetical situation that the deal doesn't close, this decision becomes null and void? Is that what would happen?
Great, because remember, these are recommendations that go to the state, and they don't trigger until I send a letter saying the transaction's closed, and then they issue the new certificate. So there's been a lot of them that never closed.
That's why I asked the question, curious.
Are there any other questions from either the council or the floor?
Can I just ask for your last name? I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
Taddeo, Taddeo.
Thank you.
Michael Mikulski. So, when you, in the motion, you said it was all the entities of Nuvance?
It says Nuvance Health subsidiaries and sub-subsidiaries, including Alamo Ambulance Service, Inc., a New York State certificate, ambulance operating authority certificate holder.
But do we have any authority to vote on anything other than the ambulance certificate?
That's all we're voting on tonight, is the fitness and competency of the transfer of authority from Alamo to the new organization.
Right, I understand, but the
Yeah.
motion doesn't say that.
It starts out as to approve the application of transfer of operating authority from Nuvance Health and all of the Nuvance Health subsidiaries and subsidiaries, including Alamo Ambulance Service and New York State, a New York State operating certificate holder in Northwell.
To Northwell HS Inc.
So,
I mean, not an attorney, but I think we should only be voting on the ambulance operating certificate, not the other affiliates.
Well, I guess the fact that Alamo Ambulance is a sub-subsidiary of Nuvance, that's how you've gotta look at it from the organizational structure. Am I correct, Karen?
Right, it's, the transfer, Nuvance Health is an affiliation agreement, and Nuvance Health and all of its subsidiaries, including Alamo, are getting sucked into Northwell HS. So the motion, the way I heard it, was that they're transferring the operating authority.
Correct.
And that was what was being transferred, was being approved here. Just that operating authority.
We're not approving the merger or whatever, that's really.
But, well, that's sort of what the motion sounds like, but,
But I
okay,
think,
okay.
I think it said under the transfer of the operating authority under section 3010.
Right,
Public
yes,
health law,
of the public health law,
which
so,
is the only one that
That's the
says
only
it's
one
operating.
right, that's the only we can opine on it.
Are there any other questions from the floor? Hearing none, I'll call the vote.
Oh, you want me to do it?
I don't care who does
You want
it.
me to do it? Okay. All right, Dutchess County, Joan Siebert,
Yes.
Robert Matragano,
Yes.
Orange County, Michael Bigg,
Yes.
Rich Willie,
Yes.
Wayne Chan,
Yes.
David Grass,
Abstain unless there's a tie.
Israel Knobloch,
Yes.
Putnam County, Robert Como,
Yes?
David Jacobson,
Yes.
Mike Mikulski,
Yes.
Martin Miller,
Yes.
Rockland County, Bernice Garardi,
Yes.
Nick Rozecki,
Yes.
Tim Egan,
Yes.
Desiree Leon Stoll,
Yes.
Glenn Albin,
Yes,
Sullivan County, Albie Bachman,
Yes.
and Neil Madow,
Yes.
and Susan Sherwood.
Yes.
Ulster County, Karen Pardini,
Yes.
and that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 19 yes and 1 abstain.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Glenn, do you have anything else?
nothing else to report.
All right, very good. And we'll respectfully dismiss our stenographer. Thank you. All right, now we'll get back on the agenda. I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from the December 18th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Tim Egan makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Israel Knobloch. Any questions or concerns? Changes? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Passes. Vice President's report. Rich could not be here. He is traveling and wishes everybody well. He has attended a executive director replacement meeting, conference call with Westchester Region, possible consolidation, worked with Bill to update the job description, updated job description forwarded to the executive committee for review and input, solicited input for other regions on executive director's job description, developed a job posting for the executive position, and phone call with myself multiple times dealing with this. Patterns for Progress conference call with Bill, good discussion about EMS in the Hudson Valley, follow-up call to be scheduled. Represented the council at the Hudson Valley Hospital Mutual Aid Coordinating Entity and the Hospital OHEP and HEPC meeting. I don't know what that means.
Hospital Emergency Preparedness, or Health Emergency Preparedness.
Thank you very much. See, somebody would know what that acronym was. He attended the Transportation Committee on the South Blooming Grove CON conference call with the lawyers, as well as the Northwell Alamo Transfer of Authority. Attended the Protocol Committee, Training and Education Committee, as well as the Remsco meeting, Training and Ed, and monthly Zoom meetings. Safety communications, monthly meetings with the Hazardous Weather Response Plan, developing a survey for all EMS agencies to find if they have a hazardous weather response plan, and plan was distributed to the committee. Any questions for Bill, or Rich? He's not going to answer them, he's not here tonight. Okay, President's Report. So obviously Rich has let it out. The first thing that we're going to do is acknowledge that my colleague to my left here has tenured his resignation, and we have unfortunately denied it. He tenured it anyway. So Bill has notified us that effective the end of February, he will be retiring from the council. Put it in perspective, Bill joined the council in 2008 and has been the executive director ever since then. So if I could get a little bit of appreciation for Sir William.
Thank you.
So as you can imagine, as we started to do the research and figure out what we were going to do, now that, you know, our leader and mentor has decided to move on to greener grass, that left for some open discussions. To Rich's point, one of the things that I immediately started to do after I had a stroke was figure out, you know, what is the best options for the region as far as a program agency executive director, and where should we be going. So one of the first things that I did was pull a couple of really talented people into some breakfast meetings, which, by the way, there's some really good spots in New Paltz. But Mr. Michael Beninati and Mr. David Violante and myself met several times over the course of the last couple of months, trying to strategize what is the potential for our program agency to take us into the next century. We have been blessed with Bill being here for, you know, the tenure that he is, and we have to figure out where are we going next. So one of the things that we started to evaluate was it time for us as the Hudson Valley Regional EMS Council to form or reform an alliance with Westchester County and bring the program agencies back into one, leaving the councils separate so that they could still have their own control over the local jurisdictions, but having one program agency. Those led to some pretty good meetings with Jim Mullen and Brett Roberts down at Westchester. They ended up approaching and presenting the idea to the Westchester Remsco, where they sent us back a really nice letter saying, that's a really great idea, we'd love to work with you on projects, but we're not interested in reforming into one. So that put us back to ground zero. So again, I recalled my strategy team, we started brainstorming. We apologize for being a little late tonight because I called an executive meeting just prior to this, and we had all of the entities from the executive board either present or they were zoomed in. And we started talking about what are some of the different options. We have several. It's going to take some time, it's going to take some research, but we're going to start looking at different avenues. We had some great ideas that came up inside the executive committee of things that we could potentially do, from increasing funding to potentially contracting out our program agency with a third-party not-for-profit physician group. So we looked at multiple different things. We're gonna come back probably in the next 7 to 10 days, and because everybody needed time to kind of work on it. So one of the things that is important for everybody sitting at the table that has a vote, while the executive team will do the legwork, present the ideas, flush out the ideas, ultimately this council will make the decision. The important piece to keep in mind, we've all watched it over the course of the last 20 years. You know, the job that Karen did and Bill does and Jeff did and Tammy's doing now is the legwork of this council. None of you want to have to put in the hours and time that's required to make all of these processes happen. So what has been the driving point of the conversation is we don't want to put a Band-Aid on this and fix it for 5 or 6 or 7 years. We want to figure out what's the best solution and then present it to the council that could take us into the next 25 years. So there's multiple different things. I say this to each and every one of you because if you have a thought or an idea, I encourage you to reach out to one of the executive boards and have that conversation with them. Put it in their ears so that we can bring it back. I'd love to bring the whole council together and start having those discussions, but I truly believe that having a small focused work group is going to be a lot more productive, and then bring those ideas back to the full council and then let you guys decide which avenue you want to go. So I've got a commitment from each one of the executive team that they're going to, do exactly that. So what I'll do is ask for your patience. In the meantime, while I was, crying on Bill's shoulder and begging him not to retire, I was able to convince him he is going to stay on as a consultant for a very limited time. It wasn't an indefinite period, to be able to help us through this transition as we go through. So to the council, understand things will be a little different, right? Some of us will take on a little more roles and responsibility as Bill is out of the office, but the program agency will continue to run, and we hope that in a very short period of time we'll be able to have a long-term solution that each and every one of you feel will benefit this council to long-term. Is there anybody on the executive board that wants to add to that? Since you were all part of the discussions, whether it's Karen or Albie or Wayne or whoever's here now, Glenn, you were all part of it?
No, that's pretty much what it was. I mean, we gotta figure out a way forward, guys.
So, yeah, they're not easy decisions, and one of the things that was kind of my driving statement as we were meeting and having these discussions, I don't want to put some Band-Aid on this and have to be having this conversation again or somebody else having to have the conversation in 8 or 10 years, to fix it because we just put a Band-Aid on it. We have to find a long-term solution. And there's some really great ideas that came out from increasing the funding. Full disclosure, we did advertise. Most of you should have seen the posting for there. We took 0 applications. So we have to figure out why and what the alternatives are on how we get over that. So we can make that an off-the-record piece as far as that's go. That has been consuming the bulk of my time here in the council, trying to make all of that work. So that's my report, unless anybody has any questions. Thank you. Okay. Treasurer's report, please. Wayne. You didn't leave, right?
I didn't leave.
Okay, just making sure.
Getting my glasses though.
Run.
Can't see without it.
Treasurer's report, we have 25 checks for $54,077.64. As always, the big hitters were rent, insurance, water bill, electric. There were no transfers, no deposits. Confident Education has $54,769.70 in it. Program Agency has $82,035.20. And payroll has $15,318.99, for a total of $152,123.89.
Thank you.
And that's it. Bill better not leave, because we need those grants written.
So to Wayne's point, just so you guys understand, I'm sure Bill's gonna report on it as he goes through his report, we still don't have a signed contract. So that's becoming a little bit of a nervous time for us, because if you remember a couple of years ago, we went into austerity budget because we don't have the ability to borrow money, we don't have the ability to, take out a short-term loan, to cover expenses while we're waiting for these contracts to be signed. And we've been assured by Ryan and the team at Albany that they're coming and that they're caught up in bureaucratic processes. But until the check hits the bank, it's still in the mail. And we have to make sure that we can continue to pay the bills and make payroll and do all of those things. So please understand, money will get tight very quick when it comes through. So any questions for Wayne? If not, I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Motion.
All right, Joan?
Seibert.
Second? Michael? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? I'll assume nobody abstained. Very good. Sir William, Regional Council Office Report.
I think the general financial picture is not good, but it's stable for now, I think. There's some money that is there. We're 6 months into not having a contract of the program agency, which is our largest grant. We do have a contract with the council, which is the smaller grant that we have. And we got that at the beginning of February. I've already billed them for quarters 1 and 2. It's gonna be about $10,000 that we will have coming in. So like I said, it's not the big part of the grant, but it will be some income coming in hopefully shortly. I spoke with them today and they're processing our paperwork. They need a few more things from me, and they should approve that, and that'll take probably 30 days before we actually get paid on it. The program agency contract, we spoke with Ryan last week on Tuesday, and it just hasn't moved yet. He can't do anything with it. It just seems to be stuck there and in their process. They keep blaming that it's because they're increasing it, which is the first increase in many years. And I don't know, it's just a difficult time right now with them on that. The contract should include also 2 paramedic scholarships, which we talked about, $20,000 for 2 paramedics to go from our region, and it should be for all 5 years of the contract when it does get approved. We should be looking at how we're gonna spend that, because we have to lay that money out as a council, and then we would get reimbursed for that. But we're not sure what the actual grant deliverable will be for that particular item. The other grant that we have coming in addition to the program agency, will be a $15,000 grant for recruitment and retention. We did talk about some things about that, and maybe we could solidify some of that, so that when the grant does come in, we can spend some money on that and, be reimbursed with that grant also. But that will have some deliverables and with that also. So everything comes with a few strings attached. I don't think the Bureau of EMS has published any new policies in this year yet, so I haven't had any to bring back to you. We've had a little issues in the office today. Our computers were down for a long time. Karen still is down on hers. We have some internet access and some not internet access. So it's been hard there. There is no RTAC. There was no RTAC meeting yet this year, so we will have one in March. That's all. Rich and I met with Patterns of Progress. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but they're a resource place that is a non-for-profit organization that provides resource planning, educational, and training throughout the region for different organizations. And a lot of the towns and a lot of the counties use them. And they're interested in doing a piece on EMS and what it is in the future. And Rich and I talked to them. We talked about you know, the cost of readiness. We talked about where are all the responders. We talked about the state Remsco report that they did on, you know, the responders missing. We talked about the agenda of the future. And we also talked to them a little bit about the rural ambulance corps. So we were supposed to spend a half hour with them. We spent a little over an hour with them. They're going to call us back and they want to finish that up. So it should be a pretty interesting piece. This all came about from the roundtable I sat on with Tom DiNapoli of the comptroller's office. So he was there and I was there, kind of met and talked a little bit, and it grew into that. We've been working on some operating certificates in the office. The Blue Care operating certificate is still in review at the law division of the Bureau of EMS, so they haven't come back with anything as of yet. The Village of South Blooming Grove municipal CON was originally submitted a couple of weeks ago. It was deemed, or about 2 months ago, it was deemed incomplete. They have resubmitted it, and I've sent it out to the Transportation Committee. We have not met on it yet. We just got it early this week. We're gonna set up a meeting where we'll review that application and see if they've met everything that we need there. And then the Transportation Committee will make a decision, bring back their decision to the group here. Marlborough, remember we voted on an emergency CON for them. Their actual EOT, I talked to their lawyer today, they should be coming in early next week with it. So that's ready to go. I think March 2nd or 3rd. March 2nd.
Yeah, it's ready to go. It'll be overnighted very soon.
Yeah, so I expect to see that by the beginning of next week.
Transportation Committee will be busy.
Yes, they have been lately. IGEL project, we think it's ready to be accepted by the state. Everything's been presented to the state, I think with David. And it seems like they're just waiting for some policies and everything. So we're hoping that will be squared away shortly. We have a committee, the protocol committee, that's working on the RSI training. The policies are being updated, and some of this training has been updated. We expect to present that to the REMAC at the next REMAC meeting to make sure that they're in agreement with everything that we're doing, and then we'll roll that out right after that. Our next REMAC meeting is going to be here on March 3rd at 9:30 in the morning, and the next Remsco will be May 21st here in the evening. So hope to see everybody there. On a personal note, I'd like to thank everybody involved in the council and everybody that's supported me over the last 16, 17 years. It's been a great pleasure working here, and I'm glad we've been able to enhance EMS throughout the Hudson Valley region. So thank you very much, and keep up doing all the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, to Bill's point, depending on when the application is deemed complete by the Transportation Committee for both Blue Care and, or not Blue Care, South Blooming Grove and Marbletown, we may very well have to call a special meeting because we have 60 days, 60 business days from the time the applications are submitted until we're required by law to vote on them. So depending on exactly when they're submitted and they're deemed complete, we may have to call a special meeting to vote on those. So please be on the lookout if that happens, because it may not be able to wait until the May meeting. So I do appreciate that. I would like to at this time introduce our newest member to the program agency, Ms. Tammy Reinhardt. Has graciously and very skillfully stepped into the QA/QI position without missing a beat. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. So currently, for the QA/QI department, we're working on all QA/QI plans. Anything that was over 5 years old should have been resubmitted by their agencies. Make sure they're keeping up with Article 30, Section 3006, as per our regional guidelines. We ask that they're resubmitted every 5 years. So currently, anyone that has an older plan than 5 years is getting an email. So it just says to please update that with their agency contacts. And that's all I got.
Any questions for Tammy? Hearing none, thank you. Then we'll start out the committees. The training committee, Mr. Violante unfortunately could not be here tonight. He gives his apologies, but said that there was a light training committee meeting. But most importantly, as I announced at the last council meeting, David has been nominated, accepted, and voted on to be the chair of Remsco. So as such, he tenured his resignation as the chair of the Training and Education Committee. He made a recommendation. I acknowledge the recommendation and now present it in front of the full council for you guys to vote on. Bernice Garati, thank you very much. I wanted to go for there, as well as Desiree Leonstall has agreed to co-chair the Training and Education Committee. So what I need is a motion from the floor to accept the ladies. Bob Cuomo is there and Tim Egan is seconded. Any questions for either of the ladies? Any other questions, Michael? Please?
Change your mind.
Just remember, it could end up yours by default. Any other questions? If not, I'll call for a hand vote to accept both Desiree and Bernice as the chairs for the training committee. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, it's unanimous. Congratulations, ladies. All right.
Congratulations or condolences?
Congratulations. Listen, not even gonna go there. Okay, I do appreciate it. So thank you and welcome to
Still gonna kill.
part of the team. So we'll get you read in on some of the things that we've been doing on the executive, but we'll bring you in just right quick, so won't be a problem. Dr. Papish was unable to be here tonight, so I don't believe he submitted a report from either the protocol committee, other than what Bill read, or the medical director's helicopter report.
Well, the REMAC at this point, this last REMAC was a informational only. We did not have a quorum there.
Okay.
We were short of several physicians.
Okay, and everybody should be aware, if you're not, Dr. Murphy resigned her position as the REMAC chair. She felt it was time to retire. Again, we begged her not to, but she retired anyway. And voluntold Dr. Papish to do it, and he reluctantly didn't say no fast enough, so won it. To the best of my knowledge, his application is in front of the Bureau for vetting, and we're hoping that he'll be vetted rather quickly. We understand that the vetting process has gotten a little quicker, and we hope that he'll be on there sitting representing us currently. Dr. Murphy, because the way the rules are read at Remsco, even though you've retired, you don't get to leave your position until you've been replaced. So that's how they
Well,
wrote you in.
if you die.
You know, you're still required to be there. Dr. Murphy has agreed she will still represent the Hudson Valley until such time that Dr. Papish is vetted and a seated member on CMAC. So thank you. Did the Transportation Committee, still looking for public information, policies and procedure chairs, so anybody that's interested, that'll be great. Legislative and bylaws.
Okay.
Mr. Bachman.
Sir, this time I ask for your indulgence before our legislative report. I'd like to share some things with you.
Sure.
This year marks 55 years that I've been involved in emergency medical services. Although I know I don't look like I'm even 55 years old.
I was gonna say, you started when you were
Say
4.
58, the other-
Started at 4 years old.
Working my way up through the ranks as a medic in the United States Air Force, and I'm getting someplace with what I'm telling you. An advanced first aid instructor, EMT, Sullivan County's first CIC, became a paramedic in 1989, so that's 36 years. One of the 3 people involved in the ENTD project back in 1985. founder and CEO of Mobile Medic. Now I'm serving as a consultant for Empress. Probably one of the most satisfying things that I've done was to be a member of the EMS Council here, and I believe it's 37 years. Served as an officer, most recently as your legislative chair. Today, I'm going to step down from that position, and I'm honored to say that Tim Egan gracefully has accepted as my co-chair to now chair the legislative committee. I'm right, correct?
No, that's not.
No?
Denied. Your request is denied.
And also, I'm going to step down as a delegate from Sullivan County. Like I say, I believe I've been a delegate for 37 years. I'm keeping myself busy because I'm an elected coroner in Sullivan County. I just want to thank everybody here. Like I said, this is probably one of the most enjoyable parts of my EMS service, is to be a member of this committee and see us grow over the years. We have challenges yet, and you have the best president sitting in the front that's going to handle the challenges that we face. So as of tonight, I'm going to step down as legislative chair and step down as delegate from Sullivan County, and move on to my grandchildren. And so thank you very much.
A little heads up would have been nice.
I mean, after everybody else is stepping down, I go, oh my God.
Is something in the water in this building?
Albie, as a mentor when I first started out in this, and watching the legacy that you and several of your colleagues, whether it was Ed Horton or Andy Lamarca, Bob Cuomo, who were sitting in this seat, and Rick Metzger. It has been my pleasure to learn, my pleasure to have a tutelage underneath you, and I wish you the best of luck as you move through and into the next stages of your life. Your grandkids are, I'm sure, going to be spoiled rotten. The only thing that I'm going to ask is that the same thing that I ask of each one is that you don't change your phone number, because I still need that ear to bounce ideas off of. So,
Honored to keep my phone number and to give it to you, sir.
thank you. All right, congratulations and welcome. Well, I guess that takes us right back. I'm not waiting till the next council meeting. Can I have a nomination to make Tim Egan the chair of the Legislative and Bylaws Committee?
So moved.
So moved.
All right, Albie gets the privilege of making that motion. Michael, you second it. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Other volunteers? Hearing none. All those in favor of Tim being the chair? Any opposed? Good. Hearing none, thank you very much. Tim, we appreciate it. Is there anything you'd like to add to this?
Well, I'm sorry to say that effective at the end of the month, I would
Guess what?
So I have had the pleasure of knowing Albie for most of his career in the Hudson Valley here. I worked at Portland in the 80s when he was up in Sullivan County, and it's been an absolute pleasure, Albie. It's been great.
Thank you.
And it's well deserved time. Thank you again.
I remember when Albie went to paramedic school.
I do too. You went with Jason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, is there anything you'd like to expand on the community
Mr. Turner's
paramedicine piece?
Sandbox.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I got, well, okay, so you want to do CP first?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Not at all, not at all.
Unless you have something on legislative or bylaws.
I have.
Blend them
reports-
together.
I have reports on both, so I'll start with CP.
Whatever.
So there is some
Yeah, about
activity with community paramedicine. In part R, which I'll get to in legislative, there's some language that extends the program for another 2 years. It does have to be voted on and signed into law before, I believe, May 31st, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is it May 31st?
I think it's.
Yes, it was May 31st.
Yeah, I'm
is
almost
when
sure it expires
the
on May
current law
31st.
expires.
So that's gonna be tight to get that done, to extend that. But it looks like it should happen. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. In addition to that, there's been a work group that's been formed under statute. That was Public Health Law Section 3018 that authorized a work group to be created and tasked it with creating some guidelines and a bunch of different things to get together from different parts of community paramedicine across the state. I've been appointed to that. It's a commissioner appointment, and it has a relatively short time frame. There's 4 main things that this work group has to do. We have to evaluate patient safety and standards for care of the community paramedic programs participating in a demonstration program, establish criteria setting forth permitted tasks that can be performed by each category of EMS personnel, establish minimum training and competencies required for emergency medical services personnel to provide patient care services, and work with the department to issue such regulations and guidelines within 90 days following the assembly of the advisory panel. Now, we first convened 2 weeks ago, so the clock is ticking on that. Gina from the Bureau will be helping write the policies and directives. That's her role in this, but the advisory panel is the one that has to come up with all of this. So stay tuned, that'll be a fast-moving project. Moving on to Ledge, if I can find it again now. So there's a bunch of stuff coming out. I mean, as we talked about last year, all of the existing legislation that was introduced and not passed in the past couple of years has to be reintroduced. So there's a bunch of new bills that have been reintroduced in both the Senate and the Assembly. But before we get to that, I'll just touch on Part R. I'm not going to, we could spend tonight and into tomorrow talking about Part R. There's a bunch of new policy changes that have been proposed in the governor's executive budget, Part R, which deals with EMS, of course. There's quite a few good things. Certification to licensure, for example, and the details of which we don't know yet. Stakeholder stuff. There's a lot of different things. I'm not going to get into all of it right now because we want to keep the meeting briefer. But I would encourage everybody to take a look at this, and I will put it up on Boardable along with my report and everything else, unless Karen, you want me to just send it all directly to you to do it either way. But I would encourage everybody to review Part R, and if you don't want to review it directly, each of the groups, each of the trade associations that represents everybody in the room has joined together. We have a unified opinion on this, and we're all working together to try and collaborate to represent everybody in the room. So if you have opinions on this, or you just want to find out what your particular group of EMS providers, and I'm talking about volunteers or commercial or fire, et cetera, is thinking, talk to your representatives that represent each of these groups. I'm not going to get into opinions or anything like that. I just want to let you know that there's a lot of conversation going on about this. Next week is State Council, so I'm sure we'll be talking about this quite a bit more. I also chair Ledge at Remsco, so this will be, of course, the first thing on my agenda there. Unless anybody has any questions on Part R, and I think everybody should take a look at it if you haven't already before we start to discuss that more. This list of bills is changing on a weekly basis. Of course, it's early in the session. We're only coming up on 2 months into the 6-month session. Right now, everything's about the budget, because the budget has to be passed sooner rather than later, although I'm sure it'll be extended again this year. There's a lot going on. However, what I'll do is I'll go through a couple of the bills right now, and then I'll update in Boardable everything that's happening as new bills are reintroduced. So, the Thruway Authority bill by Assemblyman Ekus from this local region here that issues permits for ambulances and fire vehicles for toll exemptions, that's been reintroduced. 4020B in the Senate is to amend general municipal law and public health law in relation to EMS to deem EMS as an essential service. Now, there are a lot of moving parts to that, some of which really don't have budget implications, but a lot of which does. So again, review Part R and 4020B in the Senate and take a look at that. 6058 in the Senate and A1064 have been reintroduced. That's the income tax credit bill, which gives state income tax credits to volunteer firefighters and members of volunteer ambulance corps. So that's been reintroduced, and that specific one has an upper cap of $2,500, which is different than the other one, which was A185 and is now A515. I'm sorry, A515. Gives state income tax credit to volunteer firefighters and members of volunteer ambulance corps, standing up to $1,200. There's a couple bills out there which are very similar. There's one that reimburses transportation costs for emergency care without prior authorization for social services. That was S 3223, it's now S 3768 and A 2442. Again, I'll put all of this on board. AB 7174 is now A 1309, and that's an initiative to preserve and extend the CP-based programs. So again, that's going to be voted on sooner rather than later, I think. S 5000 A 4077 is now S 1515. That removes EMS services from the real property tax cap. So what that means is that municipalities would no longer have to abide by the 2% or whatever the property tax cap for that year is to fund EMS. It wasn't real popular, I can tell you, in the last session, simply because municipalities are very reluctant to increase taxes overall, even if they have an exemption, because they have to explain why that one is not going on. But you never know what's going to happen with that. That could help funding each of our services with the municipalities that we serve. And the last one I have is S 6630, A 6274 is now A 288. That repeals the provision of law that volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers who receive a real property tax exemption for service may not receive the income tax credit for such service. That's a mouthful. Take a look at that. It's going to change, I'm sure. I know that since I even put this list together, there's been a couple of more that have been dropped in, and like I said, I'll keep this list updated throughout the session, and I will put it up on board.
Thank you. Any questions for Tim? All right, Tim, congratulations and welcome to the new position. Okay, before we get out of committees, I have to tap our nominating committee because this is our January meeting. We don't meet again until May, and that's when elections for the council come up, so.
I was going to mention that, but since you brought it up, I'll talk about it now. So yes, our next meeting is the annual meeting where we have our elections, so obviously we have to meet as a committee. I don't remember who, we have a list of all who was on the nominating committee?
I don't know, I don't have email.
Okay, I'll have to look back to remember, because
Once I get
if you were
email,
on
I
it
can
last
figure it
year,
out.
You're gonna be on it this year unless you tell me otherwise, so. I will schedule a Zoom meeting, which is what we did last year. In the meantime, any officer that wants to continue in their position, please send. You were prepared with that, yeah, I could tell. Please send your intentions by email or letter over to Karen so that we can discuss that. And then we will also take nominations from the floor on the night of the meeting. If there's anybody else that would like to be considered for one of the positions, please let Karen know, and we will meet.
Karen's putting in for her 3-week notice that I'm retiring. Thank you.
Is Karen serious?
No.
Okay.
Ides of March or something?
What?
The Ides of March?
Yeah,
Thank you, Bob.
And that's it.
I'm only kidding, Bob.
Is there any other committees that want to give a report that I missed?
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody else on legend bylaws? Is anybody in the room on legend bylaws? I had a feeling that was the case. Well, obviously we can put out a
Absolutely.
interest.
Absolutely. Any, Desiree, go ahead.
I just want to remind everybody that awards will be coming out shortly. We need representation from each county to serve on the awards committee, so please provide that updated information to Karen. She'll share it with
Send
me.
them to Desiree, please.
And again, this is always the toughest thing, is getting these awards in, getting them well written. So please make sure that people are following the rules, making sure they're typed out, they're following the form.
Right font.
Right font. And get those in as soon as they come out so we can get them.
Again, without,
See?
just to elaborate on what Desiree's talking about, hopefully your local councils have already been drumming the troops to write accommodations and award nominations for each of their members and agencies. I mean, recognize the good work that they're doing and get those in to your local counties so that they can go through their process pick their winners and then forward their winners to us so that we can get them up to the state to take it. And again, giving you guys credit, the Hudson Valley has done extremely well over the last several years when it comes to state winners, so it doesn't go unnoticed. So please, let's get those nominations in as quickly as possible. All right, Mr. Violante said there is no state council report, as the council did not meet since our last meeting. They are meeting, as Tim alluded to, next Wednesday and Thursday. So for those of you that are going to watch on the live feeds, it's a little off this year. Traditionally, it's always on a Tuesday, Wednesday, but this year it's on a Wednesday, Thursday. So definitely sit down. I would encourage any of you that have some free time to take the ride up. The meetings are the same as if you watch them on the video, but to anybody that goes to the council meetings knows that the conversations that happen before, after, and in between the meetings is where the real work gets done. So that networking and that ability to be able to bounce ideas off of other regions is a real valuable piece.
Dave, is there a schedule of the meeting, especially for the first day?
So I don't believe the agenda has come out yet, and if it has, I haven't seen it. So historically, it's out usually about 24 to 36 hours before the meeting.
But you can look at the old agenda. The committee meetings will probably fall in the same order. Most of the committee meetings are done on the first day, and then the second day is the Remsco.
Yeah, the only thing that happened different in the last month, or the last meeting, is finance and training and ed met together, where historically they're two different meetings, one consecutive behind the other. But in that one, because there was a lot of discussion about increasing funding for training and ed and how that would work, Steve Kroll and Don Hudson combined their committees to one meeting in there. So
Which was very productive.
It was a great meeting, because again, they had similar goals and felt it was better to use the combined time to get their points across.
The only thing to note is that the schedule is moved back a day.
Right, it's Wednesday, Thursday. Yep. So usually the committee meetings are on Wednesday, and then Thursday is
If you guys get the
systems.
agenda and think about it, just shoot it over to me.
Okay. Usually the best place to look for the agenda is right up on the Bureau's website. Yeah, once it's produced and out, it's available right there on the website. And then again, I would encourage anybody, there's a live feed for the CMAC and Remsco meetings. So you can watch it live time and have popcorn. So, all right, good. Old business, Wayne, you or Brenda have anything updated on?
Brenda's been in contact with a couple of the other counties for mental health. It seems there's more and more, we're finding out there's more and more teams out there than we knew about.
Excellent.
The one lacking is Orange County.
Okay. Sounds like somebody from Orange County is going to elaborate. Michael?
Starting next month, we'll have full-time staff of mental health counselors, peer counselors, social workers responding out of our Cornwall station to our communities through a 5-year grant. So we have MSWs, and actually 2 of them are EMTs, and they really want to get involved with responses. It's based from opioid funding from the government is paying for this for us. So 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week, we'll have a opioid task force that will responding with us and doing all mental health training in the communities, and they want to do mental health training for EMS. And our board said if any other agencies want to kind of tap into that, I'll send you our contact information for him. And we'll do any type of training for any EMS trainings and stuff like that. So we can get all the opioid kits for you guys and anything else like that. So it's for the next 5 years. We have this 2 people full-time, 7 days a week out of our Cornwall station responding with us. So, but they want to work on a type of a team response also and get people trained in it. So I will get you his information tonight, and you guys can use them for free. It's New York State's money, not mine. So it'll be kind of good
Just
to have.
for clarity, Michael, that's right now exclusive for the Cornwall response area, or are they going to go mutual aid like into the neighboring districts?
it's starting right now as crawl, run, walk kind of thing, so we're
Okay.
trying to really get it out there where, it's, the county's paying for it, but it's a proof of concept for our two towns, and then hopefully it works in the cost
Excellent.
to go across the region, so.
Beautiful.
But yeah, it's independent living through us, but the guy who's running it's actually one of our members, he's retired military, and was really involved with kind of that response and then dealing with veterans and stuff, so we're trying to get that done with, making sure that we can deal with mental health problems with our own providers and then kind of do some debriefings and stuff like that. And he was talking about doing peer training on how to respond to those things and recognize mental health issues in our own population and our own demographics, so. We want to make sure that resources out there for any other agency, if they have a question about something, he's there 7 days a week, so he can come to your station and stuff, and he told me he can just go out and do stuff as he wants, he has his own response vehicle, counselors and everything else.
Excellent, excellent. Brian Williams.
Orange County Division of Emergency Services just hired a full-time employee, Phil Solinardi. He's retired state police, he oversaw part of their employee assistance EAP program there. As the new lead for the peer support team that the county is starting. So we have a full-time employee starting that, so they're gonna have a full peer support team run through the division. They'll be hosting trainings and then getting members of each discipline onboarded. As far as the actual response plan and what it's gonna look like, they haven't actually he started with us last week, 2 weeks ago, so it's brand new.
So it's evolving.
Yeah, the county is starting that, so we have one full-timer on it as of now, and they're looking to expand it going forward.
We'd love to hear where it evolves to, maybe in the May meeting, to see what the opportunities are for the rest of the Orange County agencies that are out there.
I'll pass it on to Brenda.
Well, it
Excellent.
literally just came out as a press release through the county, so I'll see if it's up online yet.
Okay.
Chris Hyatt.
2 years ago, we started with a full-time social worker and an EMT, 5 days a week, 10 to 6, in an ambulance. The social worker goes out and does follow-up care, the patients that she gets from mobile mental health, the discharges to follow up, to make sure that they are receiving the services that they need, and they're getting the medications that they need, and then they're also responsible for any of the emergency responses for psychiatric emergencies from 10 to 6. Which then frees up the medic trucks from not having to, do that. So that has been an extremely successful program, which was grant fed for the first 2 years. It was, the mayor wanted it, and has decided that they're going to continue to fund it, so.
Excellent.
So in terms of resiliency and wellness, Ulster County Sheriff's Department, we have a CISM team, Critical Incident Stress Management team. We've done over 60 calls in the last couple of years, actually in a lot of different counties. We're also doing a lot of resiliency with a lot of fire departments and EMS, and it's a very robust program, and it's very successful. And so, if anybody wants to look onto it, we do go out and do trainings with fire departments and EMS, and we do a lot of CISM, Critical Incident Stress Management, with different fire departments, law enforcement, and EMS in a lot of different counties.
Excellent. Excellent. Tim.
So Michael and anybody else that's starting up these programs, we've been doing our mental health crisis team with LCSWs and mental health techs for 11 years now. It's been very successful in diverting mental health patients from the ED, and that was the whole point of it. Actually, Allison is one of our techs, and we look at it. In addition to that, I sit on the opioid overdose task force with the county, and we work directly with mental health. As a matter of fact, mental health is on the team, and we do a lot of opioid training throughout the county as well. We providing kits and so on, and we have the cash with the sheriff's department, and we do a lot of work with that county-wide. So if you guys ever want to collaborate or sit down and discuss. And
Yeah, our biggest thing was finding out what their scope is, and exactly, my thing was where's the guardrails, what's the scope of this? And how
well,
do
you said MSWs, so
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like you have LCSWs or psych RNs or.
It depends, yeah, so it's, a lot of this is opioid funding, so it's based on that, we don't wanna recreate the wheel, the county's doing it, so I think that maybe it's a good thing, everyone who's doing it, maybe we should all have a meeting.
That's what I'm
And say
suggesting.
like, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we can offer, cause like our question with DOH is our station day, the inspection, like how do we document turning these things over, how do we document RMAs?
They're not EMS calls.
Yeah,
That's-
but they respond with us, so there's a lot of questions and logistics about it, but I think that's something we can all collaborate on.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me know, I'll meet with anybody.
Yeah.
Extra number.
Excellent, excellent, great discussions. Does anybody else have any old business to bring before the council? Hearing none, we're gonna open it up to new business. One of the things that we need to do is, as I mentioned before, Dr. Murphy has retired. She voluntold Dr. Papish that he was going to be taking the position. He graciously accepted it. Unfortunately, the REMAC is an extension of this body, so I need a motion from the floor to accept Michael Bigg, seconded by Israel Knobloch. Any discussion on Dr. Papish being the chair of REMAC? Hearing none, all those in favor? Perfect, those opposed? Outstanding, you were getting the job if you didn't. The only thing that I did want to do, I see that our one state colleague, Carol Ackerman, has graciously ran out the door, leaving Michael Lenahan as, sorry, you guys didn't get married. Michael Lenahan here. Mike, is there anything you'd like to share with the council or the agencies of agency inspections, or anything you're seeing that could help them be better at their jobs? Yeah, I'm not putting you on the spot, but I want to give you an opportunity to at least
Yeah, so
see.
ultimately, we're going through the full services. When we call to schedule it, we're giving you the checklist that we're using, so we're really not coming in with any secrets. And then the report is given. Mainly just go through your policy procedures, make sure they're updated. That is something that we're finding, that something from 2003 might not still be applicable today. So just run through them, make sure that they're current and that what you're actually doing. And other than that, you know, we have the state EMS council next week, so anyone that wants to attend that, you're more than welcome to. Other than that, we're just kind of status quo as we have limited staff.
Quick question, but when you're looking for the updates to the policy, do you want like that the chief reviewed it, the date he reviewed it, or something along those lines to say that it's still in effect? And
Depends on how the agency wants to do it. Some agencies have a cover page that says annually they review it and then they sign off that cover page. Some have each policy have a new date associated to it. So however your agency is doing it would be best practice to continue that or add into whatever new mechanism.
what are you seeing mostly? Are people doing the cover page? They're doing everything, okay. All right.
We do version numbers and then last updated dates.
Yeah, that would make sense.
We put you on the spot, Carol, as you snuck out the window. Michael took the heat for you. Is there anything, the question that came from the council to both Michael and yourself, is there anything that you would like to impart on the council to bring back to their agencies as far as, and that's what we're talking about, agency inspections or operations or things that you'd like to see information, you know, brought back to the local councils and then hopefully the local agencies?
Well, some of the agencies ask us about the policies, the required ones that are required by New York State. And there are some of the councils within your area that will provide it to their agencies, but they ask us if there's something from the region that would, you know, meet the objectives for that. So if that's something you want to consider providing to them, like something standard that they can then adapt to their own agency. So they ask us about that a lot.
Okay.
I was told earlier this evening by Michael that Carol has all the answers.
Well, welcome to the new kid on the block.
She's got 1,000 tonight, so.
Thanks, Mike.
Ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies.
Outstanding. Does anyone else have any new business they'd like to bring before the council? All right, hearing none, we have gotten to that point in the agenda. We'll entertain an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Have seconded? I didn't
those
see
in
all the
favor?
hands. Bobby's up. Thank you very much. Guys, I appreciate everything. Again, any comments, questions, concerns you have, we'll be happy to entertain. Thank you.